Hey, what's going on, everybody? Steve here, Raiken Profit over at RaikenProfit.com. Today we are joined with Brad, who has gone from selling on Amazon retail arbitrage model to then pivoting over to wholesale on Amazon, and he's gone from literally a couple $1,000s a month to $70,000 a month now with his wholesale business and total revenue. And in today's video, we're going to be sharing the old model of sourcing wholesale products to sell on Amazon versus the new model and what's working really well for Brad. Glad to have you here, man. How are you doing today?
Great, Steve. Great to be here.
Yeah, awesome. I'm really excited to talk about this because you're actually living this life. You're doing it, you're having success, and you're scaling your business. There's a lot of people who want to pivot and shift from thrifting and retail arbitrage and maybe even private label, online arbitrage. They want to move into something such as wholesale that allows you to really build and scale a business that brings in consistent profits and can really extend out to like a long-term business. So let's talk about what's the old way, what's the outdated way, what's the way that a lot of people you see get started with wholesale and they just don't have a lot of success, or it's an uphill battle, or they're fighting against the current, versus what's working really well now.
Yeah, absolutely. So the old way of sourcing wholesale is more going straight to Google, searching for suppliers, or searching for generic distributors. Maybe you're using a site like Wholesale Central, and it's very generic. It's more of the distributor model.
What is a distributor?
Yeah, so a distributor is really, instead of, so let me back up for a minute.
Yeah.
You have the manufacturer or the brand owner, and then they might use distribution, and then you have yourself, the Amazon seller. So this is all supply chain.
Wait, so manufacturer creates the product.
Yep.
Brand owner, they came up with the idea in a sense, right? So like, for example, say I wanted to create some water bottle widget or something. I don't know what that is. That's the brand, right? I own the brand.
Yeah.
I'm the owner. The manufacturer, I hire someone to build it out for me.
Yep. Sometimes though, Steve, the brand owner is the manufacturer. They do the manufacturing in-house.
Interesting. You were getting to the Amazon seller, so, and it's being a supply chain.
Yeah, so my goal is to cut out as many middlemen as possible. So instead of going to a distributor, my goal is to go straight to the brand owner or the manufacturer. That's not to say distributors don't work or they're bad. You can definitely scale your business with distributors, but going straight to the source, going straight to the manufacturer, your profit margin is going to be a lot higher because there isn't a distributor that has to take a cut of the inventory that they purchase from the manufacturer.
Yeah, because I hear most people, they're calling up distributors, they're trying to find like a distributor to work with, and then the margins are always super low.
Yeah.
And also I feel, correct me if I'm wrong, there's 1,000,001 other people who are already ordering from these distributors because they're very loosey-goosey in a sense. They'll sell to anybody and everybody, and that leads to competition and then obviously lower profit margins. Is that true as well?
That's 100% true, Steve. And the other thing you got to keep in mind with a distributor is that the brand doesn't necessarily know that you're selling the products on Amazon. The distributor doesn't always have communication with the brand owner as to who they are distributing their products to. And so what happens is you might get yourself in a situation where you purchased from a distributor, you have a distributor invoice, but the brand has not given you explicit consent to sell the products on Amazon. So the brand is the owner of the patent and the trademark of the product, so they can turn around and issue you a complaint on Amazon, and the invoice from the distributor is not going to be valid because the brand owns the rights to the product.
Yeah, and if a lot of people don't know what we're talking about, when you sell on Amazon, for example, if you thrift items or you do any type of arbitrage retail or online, you're not getting that direct invoice, and you also don't have like full permission from the brand, so you can be getting all types of claims, right? IP claims, infringement claims. What other types of issues can you deal with if you don't get that direct 100% permission?
Well, besides the obvious of lower profit margins you can get intellectual property complaints, trademark violations,
There's a lot.
and a whole host of legal terms.
People
that
get suspended all the time.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I have a friend that he was actually at the Connecticut thrifting meetup, and he had sold a bunch of Disney stuff, and they kicked him off, and he had to fight to get his account back. He got it back, then he got kicked off again for selling some other product. So this is a real thing on Amazon. If you're thrifting, doing RA, OA, it's a bit of a risky business. So that's why, you know, I feel like Amazon's really rewarding a lot of wholesalers who are doing it the right way and private label sellers because you own the brand.
Exactly.
So the old way is going to distributors, just calling off of Google, going to the wholesale
Central site.
It's very easy to do. The new way is reverse sourcing.
Yeah, the new way, Steve, is reverse sourcing, and I dive deeper with storefront stocking. And it's a great method for sourcing. I mean, that's pretty much the only method that I use now because it has proven so profitable.
Let's share what is that?
Yeah, what is storefront stocking? So essentially what you're doing is you're going on Amazon and finding, you know, a category of products, narrowing it down further, and then if you look on the right-hand side of Amazon, you have your buy box, and then underneath that it'll say sold by Raiken Profit and fulfilled by Amazon. So really what that means is a third-party seller sells the product and Amazon fulfills their inventory. And you'll see actually the third-party seller's storefront is hyperlinked. So what you can do is click on that, and then that'll bring you to their storefront. And from there, you can see all of the products that they sell.
Oh, wow.
Now, once you start getting better at this, you're going to start to find the profitable storefronts, the ones that are working with the
you're gonna just go in and hack.
nitty gritty, the ones that are working with the brands directly. And it's not copying, it's just using a great resource.
It's all fair game. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all fair game. So you go in, you find, you're stalking these stores, you're finding these profitable brands and products and whatnot. Can anybody do this? And let me back it up right now. Why is there even an opportunity to do this? Isn't there 1,000,001 people already doing this? You know what I'm saying? Like, why is this something that actually works? Why is this not saturated yet?
Yeah,
this
so
method?
there are a good amount of people doing this, and the model or the sourcing method has grown a lot in the past, year, 2 years. But it's not just about sourcing. There's another piece to this that a lot of people forget. You may find several different storefronts, several different products. You have a bunch of companies, and you send one generic email template to all the companies.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, Steve, and for everybody else watching, they're getting 20 inquiries a day from Amazon sellers.
So you're not standing out, they're just gonna skip by you, or they're gonna be like, no, we don't wanna work with you.
Exactly.
You've improved yourself.
Right. And so that kind of brings me to another topic right off of that, which is making phone calls instead of emailing or sending a basic website inquiry into their products.
Do you feel like a lot of your competitors they're just sending like email inquiries, or they're doing like the easiest thing possible? Do you feel like you're really separating yourself from the crowd? Have you ever talked to one of your brands or one of your relationships and said, hey, are most people emailing or most people calling?
Yeah, definitely. Actually, I hear it all the time from when I'm on the phone. Steve, I was actually on a phone call yesterday, and the brand owner was telling me that what a lot of the other sellers are sending in an email. Hey, we really like your ratings on Amazon.
Yeah.
We're very interested in becoming a seller of your products. And they get 10, 20, 30 of those a day. And for a brand, that can be very inundating, into the email box.
And where's the trust?
Right.
You can say a lot. That's why I love creating videos. I built so many relationships out of this, not to make this about myself, but videos and phone calls, you can read people's body language. You can comprehend, and like you can learn a lot about someone based on like how they move their body. Do they give you direct eye contact? What's their tonality like? But you can really understand like the confidence behind somebody's voice and somebody talking. But you know what I'm saying? It differentiates yourself.
Right.
So that's been a big thing that he's been doing, is he's been making, we talked about it in your other video, 10 to 20 calls a day. That's one of the ways that he scaled his business from going from a couple thousand a month up to 70, is you were making 10 to 20 calls every single day. And let's talk about the element of adding value, because that's another thing that you said behind the scenes, Steve. Making the phone calls is big, but what a lot of people are doing is they're getting on the call and they're asking right off the bat, versus what you're doing is you're not asking for the sale, you're asking for, how can I help you? How can I serve you? You're asking the right questions to figure out what their challenges are, what are their issues, what are the things that are keeping them up at night as a brand, because a brand is focused on creating a bigger, better, more value type product, right? It's always about creating a better product. They're not in the business of like dealing with e-commerce and websites and stuff like that. So let's touch a little bit on that and building value and how that kind of plays a role into reverse sourcing.
Here's really the way I look at it, and it's just what you said, is if you're going to ask, that's not, you really have to give. And that's really what building out these relationships comes down to. Maybe you can help them on Amazon because you know the search algorithm on Amazon and you know where their product is ranking on the page. Or maybe their competitors are violating MAP policies and maybe you can assist them with that, some monitoring of that.
Yeah. And that's pricing guidelines if you guys are curious. Sometimes a brand will say you could only price it between 20, 25, right?
Right, exactly. And so offer the brand a whole bunch of components that can add value to them. Maybe it's their competitors that are outperforming and XYZ competitor is ranking higher and selling this many of units a month.
Yeah.
And the company that you're talking to is only selling half the units a month. Why is that?
Yeah.
Dive deeper on Amazon. Maybe take a look at the Keep a Graph. Take a look at the PPC advertising.
This takes upfront work. This
does
isn't
a
something,
lot,
it's the same thing with like retail arbitrage and online arbitrage. Everyone wants to build a successful business, but no one wants to go out there and study all the websites and find all the sources and hit the thrift store every single day. I mean, there's a lot of parallels, but it's the same thing. Going and working a job is all about showing up for the most part. Building a business is all about putting in a lot of upfront work, making sure you're climbing up the right ladder, being smart. We got a train that's gonna be going by, but we're gonna test to see how well these microphones work. But it's a lot of upfront work.
Yep.
And that's what you're doing. There's no guarantee that this relationship's gonna pan out. There's no guarantee that this is gonna be something that makes you a ton of money, but you've done your upfront research, you're putting in your upfront value. I mean, that's a big mindset shift for a lot of people, Brad. I feel like a lot of people don't get that. And I feel like a lot of people judge entrepreneurs, us, right now. You might be running an eBay business or a dropshipping business or whatever you're doing, and people judge you like, oh, that's so easy, right? You just go to thrift stores, or you just call people. But there's so much upfront work and risk.
There's a lot of upfront work, there's a lot of legwork involved, and it's not passive income. You have to work hard in order to be where you want to be. And another piece of advice that I really want to give some people is if you're just starting out, don't look at the guy who's selling $60 million a year on Amazon. That's just going to make you feel like crap, basically, You gotta
get there in 3 months, man.
Yeah. And it's not the way it works. So that would be my number one piece of advice is focus on your own process. Just start, set one goal at a time. So call 10 companies on Monday, call 10 companies on Tuesday through Friday, and that's where you start. Don't say, I want to sell $100,000 a month on Amazon, because you have no control over that. But you have control over your inventory levels, how many companies you reach out to. You don't necessarily have control over your sales. So that's another thing that I've really learned a lot throughout this process is set a spend goal, with companies. How much money can you spend in order to maybe get to 60 million or get to these numbers? Focus on the things that you can control. So, and that actually leads me into something which is my buying criteria, Steve. I don't know, do you want to touch on that?
Yeah, let's touch on that for sure. I was hoping to get there.
Yeah. So all right, so let's back up for a minute. You've reached out to a bunch of companies, you have maybe 5 price lists, and then what happens is...
What's a price list, by the way?
Yeah, a price list is, so once you reach out to the company, maybe you had a phone conversation, they like what you said, or maybe you sent an email and they liked what you said. So now they're granting you a price list. And what that is, it's a list of all their UPC codes and SKUs. It has the buy cost, so the price that they're gonna sell to you, maybe they're gonna sell to you at a 15% discount, 20% discount, 5% discount.
Gotcha.
And then what you can do is you can take that and plug it through the Amazon revenue calculator or Scoutify and some of these different apps that estimate profit, return on investment, margin, and stuff like that. So then at that point, it's your job to go through the price list and come up with a sourcing buying criteria. And for me, I will touch on this, and I say this in my channel. It's kind of a stupid phrase, but I go by 33 no AMZ, and I kind of just came up with it off the head. I don't know where it came from, but especially when you're starting out, especially if you have limited capital, 30% ROI minimum of a $3 unit profit sale, and no Amazon on the listing. And that's probably the latter half of that catchphrase that I came up with, the no Amazon, might be the most important factor, because what Amazon does when they're on a product listing is they will actually undercut prices, and they'll even sell products at a loss just to control the listing. Wow. So they're, I mean, it's their platform and they can do what they want.
So they're savage AF.
Absolutely. Yeah, they really are, Steve. I mean, you can't compete with Amazon, so don't try to compete with them. That's not to say that if Amazon, you may see in your Keepa graph that Amazon popped up on the listing maybe once or twice. That could be, they just picked up a couple units in their fulfillment center and then they throw it up and sell it on their site.
What's that called, the Amazon when they sell like the used stuff?
Amazon warehouse
deals.
Yep.
Could that be Amazon warehouse
It
popping
could,
up? Okay.
Yeah, it could. So that's what I tend to stay away from, listings that Amazon has been on, and you'll see right off the bat that there's not going to be any profit margin if Amazon's been selling the product forever. So that's kind of a blatant
They don't have to pay
signal.
the Amazon fees. They just take
They
it all
just take it all in. That's it.
How sweet is that got to be Amazon,
I know.
It's ridiculous.
Sweet to be Jeff Bezos.
They have all the data, so when they see something working well, they private label it, and then they try to find the wholesale distributor and just tear you apart.
That's it.
So, what other criteria? And again, I want to try to make this quick. I apologize, guys. My camera's overheating. We're outside right now. It's probably like 85 degrees. And I hope you love our tropical background right here. We're in Connecticut, so don't feel bad. But any other criteria that you're looking for?
Those are the main criterias. And now I will tell you that if you're just starting out with very limited capital, you're probably going to want to stick to about a 30% ROI. And for those of you who might not know, what an ROI is, it's your profit margin in relation to how much you're investing with the company. So the lower the ROI, the more capital that's going to be required. So I kind of justify it in a few different ways. So if a product is selling really, really fast, I might take, a 10% ROI or a 15% ROI because the velocity makes up for that. Vice versa though. If the product moves kind of slow, I might need a higher profit margin.
It's the same thing with RA, OA, scanning books. Some people will say, why do we take a $2 profit? Because it's 1,000 rank.
That's right, yeah, it's gonna sell fast, and that's the name of this business is cash flow and turning inventory quick. You don't want inventory to sit, so if you're confident that the velocity checks out and the product's going to move fast, and you're in a capital position to take a 15% ROI, then by all means, definitely do that.
So, last question I have, how many sellers?
How many sellers on the listing?
Yeah, how many sellers?
So that goes right back to the velocity of the product. I'll take, I'm on listings where there's over 20 sellers, but the velocity makes up for it. I'm also on listings where there's under 6 or 5 sellers, and they might be a little bit slower moving products. But hypothetically speaking, on Amazon, as we know it, and there's no set algorithm that we know for the buy box, but on Amazon, you can only estimate that the buy box rotates equally amongst all of the sellers. With the exception if Amazon's not on the listing themselves, because they'll just take control over that buy box. So if the buy box rotates equally amongst 5 different sellers, then you can take your monthly sales projections, divide it amongst 5 inclusive of yourself, and then project your profit per month or project these different KPIs and things like that.
So you got to kind of have an idea of how many people are selling and keep that into account.
Right.
Cool. So if you guys want more information, follow his YouTube channel. I'll put the link down below. If you like this, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.